Hey, welcome to Creating Creators Podcast. My name is Brian Pope. I'll be your host. We're all on a journey as creators and we can all learn from each other. Today, we're going to be hearing from a creator by the name of Aaron Wilhite. Aaron owns a company in Birmingham, Alabama called Birmingham Creative. We'll hear from Aaron how he got started. We're going to find out some challenges that he faces along the way, and we just get to know him a little bit. So sit back, check out the conversation. All right, so let's start off with thanking you again for coming on this.
That's the third time we've done that.
It is, and I appreciate your friendship, man. Just the fact that you're willing to talk with me. We've had some really candid conversations.
You know, that's usually the best way I like to run things is if you talk to people better than yourself, which is whenever I'm talking to you, you're way better than me.
Oh, yeah, right.
I learn something new every time, so that's just how I like to roll with it.
Well, good. I appreciate you looking at it like that, at least pretending to. So that's nice.
I'm really good at pretending. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
All right. The other thing, well, actually, let me go ahead and just pull this up, and we're going to go through this a little bit. Okay. So
let's do it.
Tell me who is
boy.
Aaron Wilhite? Go ahead. Tell me who Aaron Wilhite is, man. Especially that guy.
Man, that is a picture. That was when the freshman 30 hit. So who am I? I am just a guy that loves to make videos and push record. And I've been pushing record since middle school. But that picture specifically is a one my dad took of me because that's when I first got my, I think it was a Canon Canon SL1 Rebel. And I thought I was a big hotshot photographer. I really wasn't. But that was when I wanted to start a photography business. So I said, Dad, I need like a good headshot of me. You went digging deep for that one. Let me tell you, that's something I haven't seen in quite some time. Man, what a picture.
Well, I will say this, the beard looks good now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. It hides the double chin really well. And that's why I keep it. That's the only reason why I keep it.
I'm really enjoying the amount of gap that's there between your collar. You know,
I was scared you were going to mention that. I've been holding my breath this entire time, and then you had to go and mention it. To be fair, I'm pretty sure this was taken during the summer. Like this was summer of freshman year of college, and it was hot outside. I'm from a small town called Spanish Fort, Alabama, and that's by the beach, and it's quite humid. So I do have a reason for justification behind that picture, but it's probably not good enough to allow this on the internet, unfortunately. Yeah, no, but that is unfortunately me. Yes, from 2016, I believe.
Okay. All right. So, but with regards to your sort of past, tell me a little bit about how you got started in the world of content creation.
Content creation for me goes back to middle school. I was using a program called Sony Vegas using my dad's Canon XLC. It looks like a cinema camera nowadays, but it used DV tapes. This was back in the days where you had to sit there and watch all the bits of footage and capture it into your computer. That's the origin of my content creation. And usually, I don't know if it was the school system or whatnot, but with a class project, you had two options. You could either write a report. This was like middle school, high school, or you can make a video. And I was like, well, I was the kind of person that wanted to make the best video. I wanted to make the most humorous video. And if those videos ever got brought up, I don't think you can find those. And if you can, I'd be quite impressed. But I strive to make the best video. And that's I learned everything from YouTube University. And this is back in like 2009 YouTube days. And there were tutorials out there that you could follow. And just that progression alone, made me want to do something like this for a living, but I didn't know the direct avenue to go down that path. So that's kind of like my origin story of video. I shot videos in high school. I actually had a YouTube channel back in high school. One of my biggest regrets, I can't remember how many subscribers it was, but it was a pretty decent amount for a high schooler, 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was a gaming channel. And I would post gaming content all the time. And I was partnered with the MCN called Maker Studios. And I remember getting my first paycheck from that, and I was like, wow, I'm making, and it wasn't much. It was like $10, but I was like, wow, that's crazy that I could make money from making a video. So that's kind of the origin story of how this all kind of got started.
Nice. It was nice to hear it tie back to school. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my background is education. So, and the kind of stuff that I taught was revolving around video, photography, graphics, that kind of stuff. So it's cool to think of students like that I taught one day being in your position, maybe even better off. Hard to
Oh,
believe that's
without
possible.
a doubt. I think school. Well, there were no classes for making videos in high school or middle school or high school. Now students have it really fortunate. The most training I ever got in middle school or high school was the news team. We did a broadcast news every morning at 8 o'clock, and we would just highlight the news of what was going on in the high school. But that was the most video technology I had put my hands on in high school. So now kids have it great nowadays. There's whole classes and stuff about it.
Well, while we're on the subject, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your your current business. I mean, Birmingham Creative. First of all, let me just say your website looks incredible. I really love.
It's funny you should
Um,
say that because I'm literally, I think tomorrow or the next day we'll be republishing a whole brand new website. So
nice.
we're getting memories at this point, but that's fine.
Okay. All right. That's true. But I love the way that your videos connect. I mean, even some of these shots where you show a piece of it and then show like the next element that sort of almost brands that segment of your video with that client. I think a lot of people, and I'm probably guilty of this especially, but a lot of people end up putting um, their best shot from a clip, but not always multiple shots that sort of tell a little bit more of a story of the client.
No, you're exactly right. I think the biggest skill in video editing is sequencing, figuring out what shots go before, middle, and after. And especially on that cover shot, I mean that cover reel right there. I've never made a demo reel since 2017. Like I've never made just something that shows off the work because that's not what your clients are looking for. They're not looking for the prettiest shots. I mean, anybody can shoot a pretty shot nowadays. And this is kind of me going into a rant. They're seeing if you can story tell. And most importantly, they're seeing if you can story tell to the point where their customers can engage in that content and in return buy whatever product or service they're selling. And that's what it is in commercial and corporate video production world is not if you can make a good looking video, but can you make a good looking video that sells their product and service? So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. So with this, my whole background on this little cover website thing is like I want clients to see that I can not just make a pretty shot, but I can sequence stuff in a way to tell a story.
Well, and you've been a part of some really amazing events. It looks like. I mean, some of the stuff that I see on this, I would love to just be a part of that event. So it seems like you got some really cool opportunities.
Yeah, there's one of my favorite things to do. I did wedding films for 7 years, and I think one of my highest expertises in video production world is events. I love events because it's a documentary process. I mean, you get what you get, but you have to have a strategy behind going into that event, and that's something like weddings taught me. So seeing like events like that where those huge concerts, you take the same approaches and you take the same elements that you've learned and apply it to a different event.
That's cool. That's really cool. All right, so I got the next thing I want to mention
Oh boy.
is a little bit of
Hey,
congratulations, man.
thank
So
you,
huge
sir.
congratulations. That's this year, right?
That was this
Or
year.
the
That
end.
was 2 or 3 months ago. My wife killed me. That was March 26th. That's the only date that I have. So whatever that is from now, that's when we got married. See, I still have the anniversary memorized. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Well,
yeah,
congratulations on
thank you,
that.
sir. It was an event. She's my number one supporter, and you got to marry that for sure.
Well, I've also seen a lot from the green egg, so I'm assuming that
Yes.
that's really to you know
Um,
provide for your wife, right?
yeah, something around that nature. the grilling is the best form of cooking, in my opinion, and because nobody really understands how easy it is. But you can make some incredible stuff, and you don't have to. It's not incredibly labor intensive. So, she does enjoy my grilling quite a bit.
Awesome. Well, I did just want to mention that.
Oh no, I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Oh no. Oh,
All right.
what?
So tell me a little bit about the talents. And hey, I think we are getting a little bit of peaking. So if you tone yours down, I think.
All right, I turned
I'll
the gain
just-
down just a little bit.
Yeah, that's on me, I'm sure. So
I didn't realize
All
how rowdy I was going to get on this podcast.
no, I'm hearing a little bit of crackling. It may be on my end, so I just
I turned it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Describe my talents.
Yeah, tell me about them.
I'm a generalist. I know just enough to get by with anything. So funny enough, and I'll give you some context behind both of these photos. That first photo with the saxophone, I played music all my life. I played 10 or so different instruments. That's because my dad, I basically played instruments with my dad, and he's the one that was kind of the motivation behind learning so many different instruments. But saxophone was the one I played in college. And I don't want to tie it back into video production, but having a musical background helps you with video editing, especially with pacing and especially with tempo, and in keys within the song. Like that helped me out a lot. But that specific picture was me playing, and you didn't find the video because it's unlisted, and that's because I've unlisted it. Of me playing Georgia on My Mind for the school talent show in 2013 or 14. Won second place in that talent show. But that's how I got my scholarships in college, is I played music. So that's my main instrument was saxophone. I really tried to excel in that craft. And what's funny is I haven't picked that thing up in years. I couldn't tell you the last time. The second one, the second picture, funny enough, I'm wearing the exact same outfit now that I noticed this. I guess that outfit was that's not at the same time. I guess I love that outfit.
It's a sharp looking outfit, man. You can't say anything
you
bad
can't
about it.
you can't beat a sports coat. That picture, I wanted like professional headshots for Fiverr, and this was when Fiverr was first becoming popular. And this was when Fiverr gigs were actually $5. Now you can't find a single one for $5. But back in high school, my dad had this great recording microphone. I can't remember what microphone that is, but apparently it's used like on Ford commercials or something like that. I can't remember. I did voiceovers on Fiverr. You won't find one of those, I promise you that. But I made a little bit of side money just doing voiceovers. And that was just my way of making a little bit extra money in high school.
Wow. Well, there you go. Well, I mean, it's just neat to know that you not only are you talented in video, but obviously you've got vocal talents as well as instrumental talents. So.
Well, now, I feel like my Southern accent has come out over the years, unfortunately, but I think it's just the artistry behind all these different things. Like it's making it your own. I wanted saxophone, although I was in like classical band and just your standard symphonic band in high school. I wanted to make it mine, so I learned all the like the blues and jazz scales, and then associated that to playing music. And same with just being I don't want to call myself a voiceover artist because that's not who I am or what I am. But doing that, I mean, it allowed me, because I'm not good at singing, you don't want to hear me sing, but
I don't know. I think I do actually.
Nope, because I won't. But just taking that and running with it as far as making voiceovers, like you just kind of have to adapt to the way that you find most enjoyable, if I should say.
What other instruments do you? I feel like I've seen you play guitar.
I play guitar, and all of this derived from church. I grew up in a very small Southern Baptist church, and they would stick me on the instrument that was absent that day, on that Sunday. And so I just had to learn every instrument. And once you know the basics of one, you can apply it to the others. It's not incredibly difficult. But saxophone, guitar, bass guitar, if you count those as two instruments, drums, a little bit of piano, not too much. Trumpet, I played trumpet in college. Just a variety of different instruments.
Do you feel like that has helped you in your content creation?
100%. Harrison and I actually have this conversation all the time. Harrison is my office partner. That's his desk right there. We talk about having music as a skill set for video production, and it's so crucial. For example, easy ways to apply music in video production world. I tend to pick out songs with the same key through my entire video that I'm creating because it's easy to transition into the next song. It's not a very harsh transition. So if you go onto like a sound library platform and you search I need songs in the key of D, I start picking those songs and it's easier to transition to. And plus, not only that, but timing video clips with rhythm. So because of a musical background, you can, instead of doing it on the downbeat of every single beat, you can change it to every quarter beat, or you don't have to cut on every single downbeat, but you can still make it musically flowing through your video, if that makes any sense. It's really hard to explain. And not only that, my favorite element that I love to do in video that I find very beneficial with my musical background is applying worship pads or just like keyboard synth pads to videos, especially if you don't want it to drop just yet. If you layer a worship pad with the same key in the bottom of it, and then you drop off the music but still have that worship pad going, it's an easier transition to time it just right how you want it. So music has definitely helped me out tremendously. I know that was a little long-winded, but
No, no. You're actually highlighting probably one of my biggest weaknesses as a videographer, and I say that it's a frustrating weakness because I see people. I mean, my best friend growing up in high school and all through college and stuff is a musician, and he's always been able to, understand the kind of stuff you're talking about. And I was the guy that I learned 3 chords. I learned 1 beat on a drum set, or 1 pattern on a drum set, and that's basically
hey, it's about confidence. That's about all I know too, but it's about confidence.
Well, but you also understand like rhythm and well, I'll give you an example. So I hear all the time the term phrase. I'm like, what does that mean? Phrase.
A phrase, or it's kind of, I would describe it as, so in music you have what's called a bar, which is what's containing in your, usually on a 4/4 beat pattern, like 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, and usually a phrase is 8 of those bars in musical terms. So usually, sometimes whenever I'm editing videos, like I'll count the beats, and then change the scene to whenever it hits the next phrase or the next musical bars, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's just lining up your footage with the music, because your music is 50% of the viewing experience for watching a video. So you want to complement both the audio and the video to flow together.
I've seen that from like my coworker that I currently work with. He's very musically talented and experienced, and I've seen the way that he edits video, and I'm like, that's how I want to be able to edit video. Right. I want to understand music, and I mean, I'm the guy that goes into or has been going into Audition. Matter of fact, I just got through doing it, dropping a song in there and remixing the song with Audition. Well, he's the guy that will take those phrases and end here and piece here and then like fade out here, and I'm the guy that has to let AI do it for me. So
it's amazing. I've never played around with the Audition feature of rephrasing music and like retiming it. I feel like that's incredibly beneficial, because I don't even lay out a single piece of video until I have the audio how I want it. And that's just how I operate. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
lay down a single piece of footage until the audio is mixed to the length that I want it. And so that's the first step. And once I get the audio right, I'll start laying down the A-roll to match the music. So really, if something gets cut out in my A-roll, it's not because it was important. It's because it just didn't flow with the music.
Yeah.
And that's just how I operate as a video editor.
I've seen Cole do similar, but again, a guy like me, I usually start with the video, sort of piece together
Right.
what I want to tell like visually, and then I'll lay down the track, and then I basically trim the clips to the track.
Right.
So
That makes sense. To each their
It
own.
works.
Everyone has a different method. You just have to roll with it.
I agree. All right, so we got another.
Oh no!
I guess the
I'm not
next
looking forward
slide.
to this. There it is. I knew that picture was coming. Once I saw the first one, I knew this one was to follow.
Oh yeah. You
I
only
guess
have to
I
dig a
this
little
is
bit
one
on
for
social.
collared button-down shirts and make sure I had a white undershirt under. That picture, it was just because so funny enough, if you embrace something and you want to do something, the people in your life, especially like teachers and mentors, will see that and let you shine on it. So my band director
You were
knew that
shining in that picture, by the way.
do what?
You were shining in that picture. By
Oh,
the
I
way.
know. That's what I tend to do. No, so because my band director knew that I liked jazz music so much and blues, he literally picked a song for our concert to let me do a solo on top of it, and that was that. So yeah, that's a legendary high school picture. I really peaked in high school, I think.
No. Thankfully, hopefully, neither of us did.
True.
But I do have a question there. So, what advice would you give to a new creator?
Oh, I didn't even see the question. I was too caught up on the picture.
I totally get it.
What advice would I give to a new creator? This question always gets to me because I don't know. I have 1,000 pieces of advice, but if I could give any piece of advice, I would say make sure you know your strengths and make sure you know your weaknesses. That would be huge. For me, I knew I wasn't very creative in the sense of capturing a good image. Therefore, I went to documentaries because I had to get what I had to get, or not documentaries, but like weddings and stuff. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I went on the skill set of seeing something happening in real time and just capturing it, whether that's a laugh or a cry or whatever that is. So just harness your strengths, and that's a very cliche saying, but you really, and if you do that, you'll discover what you're truly passionate about. For me, and especially in my line of work now, I love nonprofits. Like I love telling the stories of nonprofits. I love doing interviews. I like interviews more than I like B-roll. And so I try to sit on a niche that harnesses those strengths, and would be like documentary nonprofit work. So that's really my biggest advice, and just go out and do it. Like it's not incredibly difficult, especially in video world. I was talking to somebody the other day. If you're a video creator, you are living in the best time imaginable to get a job. Imaginable. And I say that because the supply and demand of video versus video creators is ridiculous. There's not enough supply of video creators. The demand, you watch a video every single day, I can guarantee it. So go out there and just do it. It's just taking a leap of faith, really. And I just accredit my whole career to just taking a leap of faith and just doing it.
How much do you think like quality of the video matters right now?
All cameras are good. And that's just unfortunately the reality, but fortunately the reality that we live in. Harrison and I just like, we could get away with, the newest Canon Rebel in our job and nobody would know or pay attention to it. That's just because any camera can make a good image now. It's about the storytelling involved. It's about the editing process. And editing is a very valuable skill set to have in 2023 right now.
I agree completely. All right. What?
Yes.
I don't even have another question for that. Just
what's
going
this?
on here?
You couldn't have phrased that any better. do I tell this story? So every homecoming, we have like dress as like your role model or your idol or whatever for in high school. And my role model at the time was, have you ever seen the Sexy Sax Man clips on YouTube? Do you know who I'm talking about when I say that?
I don't think I do,
Oh
but I can
man,
pull them up.
it was a viral video from 2012 or 13. Sexy Sax Man. That's all you got to look up. And it's just this man playing Careless Whispers throughout the entire public face of this earth. Like he just went to different malls. He went to
Sorry.
no, it it was a viral video in 2013, and I dressed up like him. But in the videos, he was shirtless. I showed up to high school shirtless because I said I'm going to go all out for this, and they told me to put on a shirt, so that's why you see the shirt right there. But I tried my absolute best to dress up like him. That's the story behind that photo.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got to at least check a little bit of this out.
Oh yeah. Oh, here it is. Man,
let me know
is
if
so
you
good.
can hear this.
So Careless Whispers became a meme once this video came out.
Can you hear that?
Oh yeah. There he is.
In his glory. And so this was what you were recreating.
I can't hear you because Careless Whispers is blasting in my ears.
Sorry, my bad. I was saying, so this was what you were recreating.
Correct. Yes, exactly. Identically.
Okay.
Yes, that was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah. I don't know why they would make you put your shirt on. I don't understand.
That's what I ask. Okay. I mean, so it's just absurd. It was a viral video back in 2012 or 13. And that was my role model. That's who I really looked up to, and that's who I wanted to be in life.
Okay. All right. Well, I would say you've succeeded.
Thank you. Yes, there it is.
All right. So tell me about your biggest challenge. This is just, I mean, this can be, I'm assuming as a creator, what are some challenges that you face or have faced?
I don't want to be as cliche as possible, but I'm a huge believer in the Enneagram, in the Enneagram scale, and I'm a number 3.
Now you sound like my wife.
I know. Here I am. But it's true, because if I read out everything that an Enneagram 3 is, it's me to the T. And so, with that being said, is I start envying other people. Like I start getting jealous. And I want to be exactly like them or have the exact jobs that they have. But the truth is, there's a reason why they have the jobs, and there's a reason why I'm down the path that I'm going. And you just have to accept that. I think looking at other people's work and being like, man, it's so good, like envying that work is incredibly toxic. And then another challenge, other video producers, especially, I mean, just in our industry, they're not competition at all. And you may think that they're competition. Harrison and I share an office space. We should be competing against each other. But in all reality, because I was saying earlier with the supply and demand of video and video producers, the more videographers or the more creative people that you know, the more jobs you get. And that's 99% of my business is referrals. Like you can't look at other people and envy them and then think of them as competition. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that I go through on a daily basis, is just realizing that we're all in this together, as cliche as that is, but we are.
Yeah. No, I think that was great. First of all, I think you're speaking to me some wisdom right now in the sense of,
oh boy.
Well, it's just that idea of looking at others and sort of envying their position or their, quality, their style, anything like that. I mean, I've definitely been guilty of that on multiple occasions, on a daily basis, most of the time. So it's tough, especially in the world of social media. I think everyone deals with this to some degree, but I feel like our jobs, like our products, live on social media, and then they're right next to this other person's job, and it's like, man, their product is so much better than my product, or their their location is so much better than my location, whatever it may be.
You know what's funny? Most people hire not because of the quality of work you produce, but who you are as a person. That's something I got chill bumps just even saying that, because it's true. Like, people want to work with good people. People want to work with people that they enjoy being around. Like, if I get hired out for a documentary or something, that means they have to stick with me for like a wedding, like 8 to 12 hours. They have to
Right.
trust me, one, to be on their wedding day, but also hang out with them for 8 to 12 hours. You have to enjoy the company you're with when you're hiring somebody, I should say, as from the client perspective. So that's the crazy part is just not be a good person, but be relatable, be empathetic towards those people that you're trying to get work from. And usually they'll hire you before they hire Spielberg. That's not true, but but you but you get where I'm going with that.
Definitely. And I agree with you. I think, just getting back to the idea of the challenge, it's something we all face that, what's the complex everybody talks about? Imposter syndrome or whatever that everyone supposedly has. But you're right. I mean, it's a matter of like, be yourself, be nice, like be kind to others, go the extra mile at times, help out your client or help out people around you. And the more you become that person that others want to be around, the more you'll get hired.
I couldn't agree with that more.
I don't mean that to say that people aren't getting hired.
No,
People don't want to be around,
but you are more likely to get hired if you're a very relatable, empathetic, and caring person. And that's just like putting your needs before your own. One of the biggest things that I took away starting my business was provide your client more value than they're providing you. And that's just been my whole motto since day one, is I want to give more value than what they're giving me, whether that's monetary, whether that's connections. I want to give them the best product possible.
I agree.
So it's just caring. It's literally just caring.
Yeah. All right. Let's look at the next.
Oh,
Sorry,
no.
I'm sidetracking myself a little bit. All right. You ready?
Man, are we friends on Facebook? Is this where you got all this? I'm guessing that's the case.
It is. Definitely.
When is it okay to wear shorts with a tie? I think honestly every day, but now you will never see me in a tie, unfortunately. But this
Shorts
was
with a tie, you think is every day okay?
100%. If this isn't acceptable, I don't know what is in today's modern standard of fashion. But here's the deal. This was senior year homecoming. Man, I just really went all out in high school, I guess. Senior year homecoming. This is when, I don't know if you've ever heard the shorts, but chubbies. Those super short shorts. That's when they were first becoming a thing, was 2014. I'm really showing my age here. So I thought it was a brilliant idea because I didn't want a date or have a date for high school homecoming. I was just going to show up in shorts and a tie. And because it is a formal event, I was like, well, the tie is a necessity here. But how far can I go? And so I walked in, and the principal looked at me. He looked down at my shorts. He looked at me. He said, very nice, and just let me on through. And I was like, sometimes you just got to go out and take the risk and do your thing. And you best bet I was the most comfortable person there the whole night.
So this was your prom, is what you're telling me?
No, homecoming. It was homecoming.
Oh, homecoming. I'm sorry.
It was not prom. I wouldn't have not tried to pull this off during prom. No. But homecoming for sure.
Okay. All right. Let's see what we have next. I don't even remember
really
what's
need
next.
private on my photos.
Okay. All right. Describe your studio, man. You're sitting in it. Tell me about it.
Man, the studio is one of the biggest blessings I've ever had in my entire career. And I'm not just saying that. One, I cannot work at home. And I just know that about myself. If I work at home, I won't. I will sit on the couch and I'll watch TV the entire day. Having a studio is just a creative space. And some people can work at home. Just having a space that you can go into and rule out the rest of the world. Funny enough, I moved to Birmingham on a dime, and not to make this story way too long, I lived on a third floor apartment complex and there was no elevator, so I just didn't want to lug gear up and down the stairs. So at first I was just looking for a place to just store my gear. Um, and we were sitting, me and my old office partner Jared. He's an amazing artist. Shout out to him. He we would meet together literally every day at a coffee shop and just work. And then we both look at each other one day and said, we need an office space. And so we looked around for probably a week or two, and we were sitting in a coffee shop, and this lady overhears that we were looking for an office space. She goes, "Oh, well, my office space is leasing rooms out." And we go, "Oh, cool. It's probably not in our budget if it's in Homewood, but we can try it out." And they had just purchased this building, um, and was basically just not giving away rooms, but for a price that you probably wouldn't imagine. And it was right in line with our budget, and that was the fastest we've ever jumped on something. We're like, yes, absolutely, we'll take it today, kind of deal. And from the here on out, it's been just it's it's kind of become my brand. I'm kind of scared to let this go one day because everyone identifies my videos as the one with the windows in the corner right over there. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's
that's something that really has stuck out to me. As long as
mm,
I've been watching your videos, it's that the amount of just green that you get to see in your videos with all those trees, as well as the amount of light, natural light. You've got to really fight against that light at sometimes, I would
oh
imagine.
that those pictures don't do it justice that you put in your slide, but the 300D is just on them. Like any closer, it would be touching their skin. Just to get the amount of light you need to counteract it. I've been telling myself for the 2 years that I've been in this office that I need a 600 or a 1200 now, um, to counteract that light in the most proper way. But don't worry, I have 16 and a half stops of dynamic range sitting right here. We can make something happen. But
We
yes, the
haven't gotten
studio
there yet. We'll
is,
get there later.
oh boy. But yes, no, the studio is so crucial to my workflow, and I hope, and over 2.5 years later, they've never asked for a rent increase. I say that they're going to come by tomorrow and knock on my door and ask for more money, but um, yeah, it's one of the biggest blessings. This, in fact, not to get too faith oriented here, but I mean, I was just praying whenever I moved to Birmingham. I was like, Lord, please, just if this is what, because I just felt this weird calling to be in Birmingham, and I didn't know why. If this is kind of your will, let it be done. And funny enough, like this room used to be the prayer room for the land, like the landlords are very faith-based, like not ministry, but just a faith-based organization. And this used to be the prayer room because you could oversee Birmingham and they would pray over the city. So it's just a true blessing, to say the least.
Oh, and it's beautiful. I've been in there a
And it's
couple of
beautiful.
times, so it's really amazing room. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. All right, so this is the
Let's
chance. Let's
go.
talk
This is
gear,
this is
man.
where this is what I came here for.
All right, so you started off. I mean, as what I've known you for is Sony. So
That's
tell me a little bit
um
about why you went Sony, and then tell me sort of what happened most recently with that bad Mama Jama right
Uh,
behind you.
um, she is a beauty. But I actually started out with Canon, like I told you. I had invested a lot of stuff in Canon. I had the Canon 70D, I had the Canon 80D, and then my friend Harrison, who I looked up to so much in college, I was like, man, his videos are so good. And then I reached out to him one day. I was like, what camera are you using? And he goes, the Sony A7R II. I was like, oh, 4K full frame, because I've never experienced full frame before then. So I purchased that Sony, adapting Canon glass because I had a Canon 24 to 70 or something at that point, and that was the rig I ran with for a while. And then I A7R II, and then I had the A7S II, which is the low light version of that camera, the more video centric version. And then the A7 III came out, but we were all holding out to the beauty of the A7S III, and that was the most awaited camera for well over 6 years. And when that came out, I switched to that. And Sony, the thing about Sony is for documentary event running and gunning, it's just one of the perfect cameras imaginable. Autofocus is fantastic. The S-Log 3 is great now with 10-bit. It's just so good. And I will never sell my FX3. I will never give that thing away because it's that good. That is hands down the peak that Sony has to offer at this point in prosumer world.
I agree.
So,
I agree. I got my chance to finally move to the FX3 this
oh,
year
did
at
you?
work. Yeah, yeah. So I get to use that at work now. But I started off with this one. This was the A7 III. This was my very first
Yep.
camera that I bought personally, and
Great camera.
yeah, and I have to credit it completely with getting, me becoming what I am today as far as my job as well as the side work that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I learned everything on it. Since then, I've bought the A7C, which I still enjoy using.
Yep.
And then my at work, I'm using, like I said, the FX3 and the A7 IV is what I'm using at work now.
I
So,
mean, that's what this whole stream is the A7 IV. An A7 IV with a 24-70 on it. You just can't beat Sony's lineup right now. And I say that as I move to a different lineup. It's so good. It is. There are a few features that are missing, but for just a good overall camera, Sony's the way to go, in my humble opinion.
I agree with you. I agree. For me, the sort of deciding factor to go with Sony over Canon was just more bang for your buck at the time, because I was looking for something that could shoot 4K. I was looking for something that could possibly do 120 frames per second.
But you know what's crazy? You can't even shoot with most Canon cameras full frame 4K, or at least back at the time. It would,
Oh, I
if you
agree.
shot 4K slow motion, it would crop it, half of it.
Yeah, I mean, back when I was looking, they had just released the what is it, 6D Mark II,
Yep.
and other than that, you had the what is it, the 5D Mark IV that everyone was
Yep.
using at the time, and then of course Peter McKinnon had the 1DX. So I mean, that was sort of my dream camera, was getting the 1DX.
It's funny because Harrison used the 1DX for quite some time, and we were actually talking about that today. But Canon just fell off the face of the earth from like 2018 to sort of now. They finally caught back up,
I
and
agree.
that's why that has something to do with that purchase right there, unfortunately. But yeah, it's Canon fell through the roof multiple times throughout the entire lineup, because I remember when the R5 came out and that looked like a phenomenal camera, but it overheated within 5 minutes, worse than the Sony's. So it had a leg up for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've definitely enjoyed. I enjoyed the time that I had the A7 III, and I still use it. Right now, I'm actually using the A7C with a 20 mil, is what
Nice.
I've got in here right now. So, okay. Well, tell me a little bit about this bad boy behind you, and
Well,
what made you decide to change over
okay.
to it.
I turned on my lights.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a red Komodo. Let's see if autofocus will work. Nice. So my whole thing in college, and it's really cool to see just how dreams become a reality. I remember dreaming about owning a red one day. And that's when I truly peaked in video production. So in case you're wondering, I've peaked and I'm on the downhill now.
You're the has been now.
Yeah, I am
You're
the
the old
has-been at
guy.
this point. But for my line of work, the red never made sense until kind of now. Because like I said, I did a lot of events. I did a lot of run and gun, like documentary stuff. And while the red can do that, it's definitely not the preferred. That's why I keep the FX3 around. It's because if I have an event or something that's going on, I'd rather take that one, take the FX3. But because I do a lot of A-roll stuff and I do a lot of sit down with lights, and now that I'm starting to expand more people on set during sets, the red just made so much more sense than the FX6. And just image quality, the red raw codec, because I can never seem to get my white balance correct, is beautiful. being able to change your white balance in post, being able to change your ISO in post, just things that you don't get. I mean, it's just the raw capabilities are incredible.
What drawback would you say is to the red?
The file sizes. So funny enough, I've only used it on one shoot, and I'm not going to say I regretted the decision, but man, it made me question it. We recorded for about an hour and a half, one take, hour and a half for just the red, and it was on the lowest compression codec was 550 gigabytes.
Wow.
So I was thankfully I just bought a server rack with a whole bunch of hard drives so I could store all that. And that was my biggest drawback was file sizes. But once I made the storage upgrade, I knew that I could manage a red workflow.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry. There's some noise in the background, as you can hear. One of my kids just walked in the room. I was like,
"That's all right
now." So, okay. Well, I would definitely love at some point to come and visit. Just see the red. So I need to see it in action.
It's a beast, and I'll tell you a funny story behind the why I switched, because the FX6 is no longer in my inventory. Somebody on Facebook Marketplace wanted to straight trade an FX6 for a red Komodo, and I just took it. No cash, handed back and forth. We just traded cameras and walked our merry way.
Wait a minute. You said somebody wanted to swap, just straight up swap the
straight
two cameras?
Up trade. There was no cash handed over.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I guess, especially considering that's what you were wanting, it was really a no-brainer.
I was like, well, this makes sense. I mean, because that's one of the downfalls of red. And plus, it came with the whole kit. And I gave them somewhat of a kit whenever I gave them my FX6. I gave them a 16-35. I gave them an FX6 and a couple other things. And in return, I got the red Komodo, a 16-35, and a terabyte CFast card. Like, it came kitted out already. So that's one of the biggest drawbacks of red is the barrier to entry, because yeah, you can buy a Komodo for $6,000, but you also have to buy $4,000 worth of accessories to get it up and running. So, I mean, that's, and since that opportunity kind of fell right there, it was just a no-brainer.
Well, props, man. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir. It's a true dream. We'll see about it though.
All right. This is controversial now.
It's not even controversial anymore. I don't even know why people even consider Premiere. Like, I just, no, what's funny is I just did an editing job in Atlanta, and the production company made me use Premiere, and I wanted to pull my hair out. Like, the whole time I wanted to pull my hair out. But I'll give you one feature that Premiere has over DaVinci now, and that's the what's it called? Where it can find a text. Transcribing text is unbelievable in Premiere right now. Because I had to pick a role from an hour and a half speech, right? An hour and a half lecture. But thankfully, someone was in the room and was like, all right, when he talks about, flying with wings or something like that, I can't remember what it was. I literally just typed it in. It found the clip to the T, and I just pulled it instantly, and it was unbelievable.
Okay, so that's impressive. I mean, I've heard of editing using text, but then I didn't really think about the idea of searching.
Yeah, I didn't either until it hit me. I was like, wait a minute. I can just transcribe this whole thing. The hour and a half took about 5 minutes. So I sat there, got a coffee, and just did my thing. I said, all right, fly with wings or whatever the phrase was. And I'm not lying. It had the whole sentence there, and I could just cut out I just read it of what I wanted to use, and then it cut, and I put it in the reel. It's pretty crazy. But DaVinci's way better, hands down, no brainer.
My thing is just how efficient of software it is. Like, I can use DaVinci on my old Mac that is sort of outdated now, and then when I go to my brand new Mac with the M1 Max, it's like Premiere Pro crashes all the time on me.
All the time. And I don't know how they do it, but it is because I remember in Premiere, I used to have to make proxies because it just could not handle the H.265 codec that the Sonys were pushing out. But DaVinci 1, no, you don't have to do that. But 2, I play back full resolution on an M1 Max. I'll even throw in noise reduction or something that's super GPU intensive, and it performs phenomenally. And plus, the export times are unreal. They are way faster than Premiere. I I exported 10 videos about 3 minutes a piece, and it exported faster than real time, almost half than real time. So it's just not a no. It is a no brainer. I will go with that.
Yeah, yeah. My coworker is still holding on to Premiere Pro mainly because he doesn't want to take the time to
Oh man.
learn DaVinci. I think he
Okay,
wants
so
to plug
the
away with it.
learning curve did take me. It took me about 6 to 8 months to get comfortable. And at that weird transition stage, I mean, there were projects in Premiere, there were projects in DaVinci. If there was something that I needed to get out on a deadline and it meant a lot, I would still stay in Premiere until one day I just said, well, I renew Adobe on an annual basis because it's cheaper that way. Um, I was just like, I'm not going to pay for this anymore. And then I just dropped it and then just forced myself to use DaVinci. And it's probably been the biggest game changer.
Now, do you use any other Adobe products?
So we were Harrison and I yesterday were playing around with the Photoshop generative fill, and it's unreal. It's mind blowing. We basically said adios to every graphic designer because it's just it's ridiculous. I'm not
Yeah,
kidding. Graphic designers do have a place, but I use Photoshop for some things. The main thing that DaVinci's good at, but I think After Effects is better. I mean, is visual effects.
yeah,
So if you're doing like 3D tracking, I'd rather just throw the clip into After Effects only because DaVinci is a node-based system. Um, and After Effects is a layers-based system, and I get the layers more than I do the nodes, and that's just me just refusing to learn it. Um, DaVinci's also way better. It's awesome because it has all of the programs Adobe has, but all of them are built into one program. And I get
right.
that you can like go into Audition for things, but that requires opening up a separate program. When DaVinci, you click a tab. Fairlight's one of the best things in DaVinci, in my humble opinion. It's not even the color grading because I don't do much color grading, but the audio is unreal.
Yeah, I enjoy DaVinci's color grading more so than Premiere
Mm,
for me. I'm not a colorist by any means.
me
I'm
neither.
not even good at what I do, but I'm okay enough to get by.
Well, DaVinci's
And
color space transform is unreal.
I agree. I agree. That's what I mostly use. Now, I have heard Premiere just put out some new stuff specifically about their
Hmm.
color transform stuff because now you just click I think you just toggle a switch and it now goes ahead and automatically converts
Hmm.
log to Rec 709. So I haven't seen that in action yet, but I hear it's good.
Yeah, no, I just don't like LUTs. I just don't like using LUTs because they're
I
never
agree.
good. I don't know how the color. I'm sure color space transform is a magic LUT that DaVinci. I don't know how it works, to be quite honest with you, but it nails it every time. That's exactly what I saw in the monitor as I shot it, and that's how I'm seeing it in DaVinci, and that's what I want in a program is to be able to take that log footage and convert it to such nature.
Yeah, especially when you're working with like S-Log 2, which was so
I've never worked with
finicky.
that log too, so I couldn't tell you there.
You never shot S-Log 2 on any of
Mm-mm.
the older
No,
Sony
so the
cameras,
old Sonys, because they're 8-bit, you don't have much color
right?
information. So therefore, man, it got dramatic in here all of a sudden. No, so I used a Cine 4 profile. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah,
those,
yeah.
but it maintains a lot of it maintains a lot of highlight information, and all it is it's kind of like a desaturated Rec 709.
Right.
I would compare it very close, and this is completely wrong to like a Cinetone nowadays. Um, Harrison would kill me if he probably heard anything of what I just said right now, but that's how I compare it to.
Well, I've used S-Log 2 and trying to color grade S-Log 2 in Premiere Pro for me, it fell apart every time. I mean, it'd have all these weird artifacts, but using the color space transform,
Right.
it at least gets you to a good point
Hmm.
that starts and is relatively clean. And then from there, I could definitely screw it up. But typically, I would do
Yeah,
just
no, no, no.
minor things.
It helps you out, and it was funny because on that editing job I was talking to you about using Premiere, I didn't even know how once you're in Resolve for about a year or so, I didn't even know how to approach the Lumetri tab. Like I looked at it and I was like, I don't even know what to do first. Contrast, saturation, cool. It's ready to go. It's kind of deal. So, it definitely indwells you in the color grading space. And for some reason, my generation of video producers love to color grade. and that's not me. I could care less because I see the law of diminishing returns. You spend so much time color grading this, literally 99% of people couldn't tell the difference what you did. So that's why I just don't focus on color grading as long as it looks good. I mean, I'll fix the exposure and whatnot, but
One final little dig at Premiere for me was, have you ever noticed whenever you export and then the export doesn't look the same as it did in when you were editing it?
so
That was
I've
a
never
big
had
thing.
this problem because this is a most recent like 2 or 3 year problem. Or maybe past year or two problem for what I know, but my brother complains about it all the time.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, it's a big problem.
it's a huge problem. I want to see exactly what I'm getting as soon as I click export. And I've tried to eliminate all of the different variables. Like having a color accurate monitor is huge because I'm seeing exactly what it's supposed to look like. And I just can't imagine what Premiere people are going through. And I don't even want to talk. I'm glad Final Cut wasn't even on here. Like I give you ultra respect for that.
I don't even consider that a real editing program. So.
What is Final Cut? It's what iMovie Pro. I mean, come on.
Exactly. Well, all right. So let's look at the next one before we. If I ever make this public, everyone's going to hate us at this point.
I sure
that's
hope
a Final
so.
Cut. All right. So tell me what's next.
What's next? I'm thinking about retiring here pretty soon.
You should. You should make room for everyone else.
Hey, no, listen, it's easy. What's next? I'm in this weird phase in Birmingham Creative where scaling is I don't know how to phrase this. Sorry. I'm either at the point where it could still be myself and just still be me, or I could sell it into a production agency, like with multiple people on staff doing things. And that's where I'm at. And as far as scaling, I can't tell whether or not I want to be an individual who just does this, or I want to build a production company and hopefully sell it one day. That's kind of where I'm at. So what's next? I don't really know. I'm also in a weird transitional period, where I'm gaining. I was in the nonprofit and I'm still am in the nonprofit and ministry world, but I'm also getting more for-profit companies now, like just real deal commercial projects, and that's a stage where I'm not too familiar, but I'm looking forward to seeing what's next on that regard.
I know you just got an intern, right?
I did get an intern. She's fantastic. A marketing major at Troy, which is what I got my degree in, was marketing. Um, and and I interviewed her on day one and said, "What do you want to do?" And she told me not video production. I was like, "Cool." I don't know what else you can do around here. No, I'm just kidding. But I got her to do all my internal marketing. So like my website, I started an email campaign newsletter, like doing all the business side of things for internal marketing. And it's been something I've never had time to do. I enjoy doing that stuff, but I literally just don't have time to do it. And it's been cool to seeing that it's just coming together, and she's doing an incredible job doing it. And she also works around problems that I wouldn't have thought about. I've never used Canva once, not a single time. I've always just gone into Photoshop, and then she showed me how fast she made like a e-brochure or whatever to show my services. And I just looked at it, I was like, wow, that looks really good for a template, and you inserting it. It's cool to see an intern, especially a younger one, because they usually are the brighter ones in the room. They have all these different ideas and are exposed to the newer things in our world.
Well, that's cool. That's cool that you've got the opportunity to bring her on board, but then also it's cool that it's been a success. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been great. And it's definitely made me open my eyes and mind more to hiring people on staff. But a lot of people in our industry want to do this solo. They want to do it freelance. They want to be just them. And so it's really hard to find somebody who doesn't realize the potential of success that you have for being an individual creator. So it's really hard to retain somebody into your company. That's why it's incredibly difficult to scale a production agency or creative agency in general, because they'll usually go off and do it on their own and be more successful at doing it. So it's got its pros and cons.
All right. So I expect to see the package that you're going to offer me after
All
we're
right.
done with this, right?
I can do that. I'll cut you a little discount.
There you go. No, I'm talking about hiring me.
Oh, oh, oh. I thought you were trying to hire me.
No, no, no. I want you to hire me. Okay. Well,
I,
one of us will hire the other at some point, maybe.
hey,
So,
we'll figure it out. Only for exposure dollars, and that's it. That's all I can afford.
okay. All right. I'm sure I still need those, so that's fine. All
Me
right. So
too.
this is sort of the pivotal thing, and let me
This is a
let me.
great image for this question.
I agree. I agree. But let me lead into this a little bit. First of all, the my inspiration for doing this episode and hopefully future episodes is I'm looking at people that inspire me to be a creator or to improve as a creator. And Aaron, you're one of those. So you seeing your content, seeing your company flourish like it has, the growth that I've seen in you as well as in your company. It inspires me. I've learned a lot from you just in the little bit of time that you and I have been friends, and so when I started looking at who I wanted to interview, it was who inspires me. And so you were
You're
one of the
you're gonna
the
make me
very
tear up
top
over
people on
here,
the list. Exactly. Hold the
man.
tears back.
I
So go ahead.
no, I hate that I'm one of your inspirations. I don't know if I'm the person to follow. I- who inspires me? I think it's different phases in my career. At first, it was just people better than me. I envied them, but I was also inspired to create the content, good content like they were creating. One of my biggest inspirations in college, and I'm very blessed to have him as an office partner now, is my friend Harrison. He really made some, and still today makes amazing videos. And I just look over at his work and I'm like, man, I'm inspired every day to create good content like you are doing. I would never tell that to him to his face, because he don't need to boost his ego any. I'm just kidding. But one of my biggest inspirations, I think, is my my dad for sure. He never did freelance full time. He does a little bit of freelance now, um, but he's believed in me since day one. He has always been there to support. I don't know if you knew this about me. My grandfather did wedding photography for I think like 20 or 30 years. Um, and when he died, I had I'm talking about like at least 5 or 6 different family members come up and be like, he was so proud of you and like starting your own thing, because he never did that full time as well. He never went out and did it on his own. So it's really cool to see. It's like I'm carrying a family legacy, but I'm not quite because it's not the same business. But just seeing these people that have gone before me. My dad inspired me to start making videos. He was the communications director, at the job he worked at, whenever I was growing up. So I saw him with the camera all the time. He's the one that really taught me, not everything that I know, but he taught me just the fundamentals of creating a video. So now, who inspires me? Um, I would just say I do video production because I love it, but I also do it because I'm very entrepreneurial spirited. I like growing a business. I find that fun. I'm crazy, when I say that I love the hard times and get bored during the good times, and that's just how I roll. And so I look up to people, other people who have started a business, going through the trials, going through the tribulations of everything entrepreneurial world has to offer, and still succeeding. No one it's specifically that I can name off the top of my head, but just seeing that play out.
Well, my goal in this is after each interview, I'm hoping to be able to take one of the people that inspires that creator and hopefully reach out to them next. So,
All right, that's good.
if it's okay with you, I think your mention of Harrison sounds like a great one to reach out
Oh,
to
he
next.
he would
So,
love to be on a podcast, and in fact, I may cameo a little bit, during that podcast. But he, I mean, he still inspires me today. I'm sure there's a couple other video producers out there that inspire me. Um, it's just finding people that are better than you, and not replicating it, but trying to get on their level of expertise, but making it your own. And Harrison was one of the ones in college and post college that I looked up to tremendously, and wanted to be on his level. And I'm still not, but I try my best each and every day.
Yeah, I just recently saw his reel he put out, man.
I
It
wish
was
I had time to
impressive.
do a demo reel. I really do. I don't have any time to do a demo reel, so
Okay, so
it's really
this
cool.
could be the package that you hire me for then.
If you want to go through my 32 terabytes of footage that I have for the last 2 years, you go right ahead.
That sounds like a
I
full-time job.
I can't pay you in full-time job status though. Exposure dollars is all I can afford.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe that's a discussion we can definitely have. So,
Yeah, dude.
um, all right, man. Well, that's pretty much
Is that
it.
it?
That was that's what
Man,
I got
you didn't
from you.
even get the worst pictures.
No,
I,
no,
I was let off easy.
I've got those saved on my phone
Oh,
for
thank
later.
goodness.
So,
Just a few blackmail material images. Yes, that's what I need.
exactly, exactly. Well, I do appreciate you coming on this,
Yeah,
man,
man.
and just putting up with me, and I'm sure
Always.
putting up with my really bad audio. If it sounds anything on your end like it does in my ears right now, it's really bad. So I'm hoping I can
You
fix some of
actually
that in
sound crystal
post.
clear. Maybe it's this cheap microphone that I'm using. I don't know.
No, no, you sound incredible.
Oh,
To me, I sound awful.
no, 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 no. It sounds
No,
great.
okay,
No,
okay.
listen,
Well, there you go.
we messed with audio for 20 minutes before this even happened. So I'm surprised it's even working. Honestly.
That's true. Well, I do appreciate it. I'm going to go
Yeah, it's
ahead
been a
and I'm going
pleasure.
to wrap up this recording, and then
Sweet.
I'm going to talk with you a little bit longer if that's like, and I
Yeah,
say a little bit longer, like 2 minutes.
yeah.
Does that
Well, I'm
sound
down
good?
for it. Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Well, I appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.